Hi, Barbara Vay here at the RWA conference in New York City, and I'm here with Diana Gabaldon. Gabaldon. You know, I'm one of these years I'm going to say it right, but for years I said Gabaldon, so I totally messed it up. But anyway, she's the star here, and what I want to ask you is that have you ever been to an RWA conference before? I don't remember ever seeing you.
Yeah. I don't normally come unless it's someplace really convenient to me because I go so many different places. But yeah, I've been to many RWA conferences way back in the day. But as it is, my books appeal to just about everybody. So I get invited to science fiction conventions and literary conferences. And I did the Historical Novel Society conference last weekend, and I will be doing Thriller Fest next weekend. So, we get around.
Well, your books do cover everything. And I've got to tell you, I was at the library one day, and there was a young man checking out your book, and I said, and we were talking about it, and he was absolutely thrilled with it. So I know it crosses all kinds of lines. And now this has been out a long time, but it's still doing really well. What do you attribute to that?
Well, people like all kinds of things about them, sex, violence, herbal medicine, all kinds of things. But what it all comes down to is the characters. People just really want to know what these people are doing. But you're right that it has been going a long time. Random House is, in fact, issuing a 20th anniversary version of Outlander, which will be coming out next week on the 5th of July, which is very cool. It's got the faux leather cover and the ribbon bookmark and the extra timelines and maps and guff in the back, and a CD of sampler songs from Outlander the musical. So it's too bad really, that we didn't have it for this, but it's just not out yet.
That would have been really exciting, because I've got to tell you, every list I've seen, there's always lists all over. And when they ask for the top 10 romantic couples, Jamie and Claire are in there every time. They're amazing characters. They're amazing characters. Did you? And let me ask you this: did you, when you were doing it, did you on purpose feel like I really want to write a younger guy and an older woman? Not that there's that much age difference between them.
Well, yes, I did, because when I began writing the book, I was just writing a historical novel to start with because it was for practice, and I thought that might be the easiest thing for me. I was a research professor. I said it seems easier to look things up than make them up, and if I have no imagination, I can steal things from the historical record. But, after I'd been at it 6 or 7 months, I began posting little pieces, originally to win an argument with a gentleman online about what it feels like to be pregnant. But then people said, oh, well, this is cool, put up some more of it. And so I said, well, it's for practice. I don't even know what kind of book it is anymore, but, I'll put up a bit here and there. So if I had a scene that was standalone, I'd put it up. Well, as I say, the books aren't really anything, or else they're everything. And so my scenes were all over the place, this, that, the other, and people would have fun speculating as to what it could eventually be sold as, if anything. And a few people, after reading a sex scene, said, oh, well, maybe it's a romance novel. And I said, well, maybe it is. I've never read one. Let me go and see. So I bought several and read them, and I said, well, this is very cool. It's not what I'm writing, but interesting, neat stuff. And so anyway, every single one of these had an 18-year-old heroine and a 30-year-old hero, and she was always the virgin, and so forth. And I said, well, heck with that. So.
Well, I've got to say, you made a lot of older women really happy with that. I mean, I have to say that's like one of my favorite parts, and I think that's what makes it so memorable. So whether you intentionally wrote a romance or not, I've got to say it's one of my very favorite romance books to read. I absolutely love it. And I see you have a graphic novel here, and it was your idea, right, to make it into a graphic novel?
Oh, yes, it was. I used to write comic books for Walt Disney back in the late 70s and so forth. And when graphic novels became popular a few years ago, I said to my agent, well, I really enjoy that form. If anybody were ever interested in having a graphic novel, I'd be delighted to do it. And no more than a month later, along came Betsy Mitchell from Del Rey and said, hey, you want to write a graphic novel for me? So, yeah, great. So I wrote this and collaborated with the artist and so forth. But the script is mine.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. So for any fan of Diana's, you have to come and get this book because it's absolutely gorgeous. So thank you for joining me, and I'm glad to see you at RWA.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Barbara Vay signing off.